Hey everybody, welcome to Club today. We have a super fun schedule for you. We're going to start with Little Did You Know, where you can find out if Maddie and Gerardo are good liars or not. It's a fun game. And then we are going to move into Cooking Club with Bonnie. And then we have Art with Holly today, so enjoy. All right, what's up everybody? Today for Little Did You Know, we're gonna see if these guys are good liars or not. So, the game is called Bag of Lies. As you can see, there are 4 different bags, and they have some super random things in them. So, they're going to take turns picking a bag and either describing it to the other person or lying about what's in the bag. So, Maddie, you're first.
All right.
So go grab it.
Pick number 3, my boy.
Number 3! Oh.
Four's my lucky number.
And make sure they cannot see it.
I can see it there.
So put it down.
I know, I'm just... Okay, let me just... Okay. Okay, I think I see all of it. Okay. All right, so what I am looking at is a bottle. It is quite possibly a root beer bottle, not a can, like a glass bottle. And it has some rainbow print on it. It's got some rainbow print on it that says, "Good vibes only." And coming out of the top of the root beer bottle is just like a little gorilla. Not a gorilla, just like a little fake gorilla. And he's just, he's holding the straw in place for the person that's gonna drink the root beer next. And that's it.
There's only a few things that I know make Maddie that happy. Maybe dogs.
That's true. Okay.
So I'm gonna say she's lying.
Maddie, are you lying?
Do I hold up the item
Yep,
now?
show him the item. He was telling the truth!
That's what it is.
That was very descriptive. I should have known.
Yeah, I was trying to throw you off and act like a gorilla. I don't know, but yeah. Do I get to keep this?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, Gerardo, pick a bag.
Yay! Are you still recording?
I am, yeah.
Oh, can I look at it?
No, can't look.
Okay, no, that's because I like it.
Alright, if I lose this game, it's because he cheated. I want that on record right now.
Record.
Okay. This item is very feminine. Women put it on their lips. And this one in particular is a very specific brand. It's very popular. It's a show that a lot of people watch, not myself. Keeping Up with the Kardashians, so the brand there should give it to you.
Is it KK Beauty Dash?
It's Kylie Jenner.
Okay.
Yep. And that's it. That's what I got.
All right, Maddie, is he lying?
Can I ask some questions about that? So can you tell me exactly what it is you see?
I see a product,
Okay, can I ask you what product it is?
but it'll give it away, like. Oh wait, you're just trying to see if I'm lying or not. Oh yeah. I thought you were trying to guess the product. Okay. It's a lipstick, and women put it on their lips. Sometimes men. And it is specifically Kylie Jenner.
Okay. So one more time from the top, tell me can you describe it in the greatest detail possible? I want the color of it. I want everything.
This lipstick, Kylie Jenner lipstick.
Is it a lip gloss or a lipstick, a lip stain?
Magenta lipstick, and it is about an inch long. I don't know how wide it is here.
And it's Kylie
Been
Jenner's
used.
brand.
Yep, it says Kylie Jenner on here, and then that's all there is to it.
Okay, somehow you played this really well. You confused me beyond any amount that I ever could have imagined. But I'm gonna say that you're lying.
Dang! I don't know what this is.
It's a
Because Kylie
lie.
Jenner lipstick's not an inch long, it's 4 inches!
I didn't even know she had lipstick.
She does.
All right, show the camera.
Yeah, I want to see what that really is.
What is this thing? Did you make it?
I
Who
did.
made it? Can I have this?
All right, let's go one more round. Round 2.
Okay, okay.
Ding, ding.
A lipstick that's this long. Please stop. Okay. 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 So, I am going to describe this in as great detail as I possibly can, okay? So, you know when you go to the dentist's office, doctor's office, actually, and that they use that thing that like the gag, the wooden stick,
The popsicle stick.
but it's like specific to like the doctor's office.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's the base of this, okay? On that popsicle, or no, you got me. Okay, not popsicle stick. On this dentist or doctor's gag stick, there is a slug, and this slug has an envelope addressed to me. This snail has an envelope for me. It says my name on it. And so the snail has it, but there is a little bear that is riding this slug. And so I don't know who the message is from. It could be from either of them, but they're delivering a message to me. And he is slowly making his way to a mailbox to drop it off for me. This mailbox is held up by a clothespin, and it is made out of some sort of material. And the flag is up, so the mailman is ready to come get the mail to bring to me. Yep, that's what I have in front of me, Gerardo.
So can one detail be wrong and then you not be wrong? I'm confused because that again is way too
Yeah.
descriptive.
You think?
Yes.
So-
So one detail can be changed about this, and it can alter the entire thing. So 99% of that could have been true, and then I said one thing that is not actually there, and I said it was there, or there's something there and I didn't say it was there, and who's to say what I know and what I did? So it's up to you now. Do you think I am telling the truth?
First, I was thinking you were telling the truth because you're being really descriptive, but then I figured you wouldn't do it twice in a row, but then you really tried to convince me to think that you were changing one detail. So I'm going to say that you were telling the truth.
You think I was telling the
Maddie.
truth?
Yes.
Are you telling the truth?
I was telling the truth. Look, it says my name on the envelope. I don't know how I picked it. Yeah, when I saw my name on the envelope, I was like, for sure, like there's no way I would have picked
Yeah,
that.
let's.
And so it's very, very probable that I'm lying about this. But yeah,
Just put that on my phone. Is it my turn? So wait, are we tied?
Yeah, you're tied.
yeah.
You are tied up.
Okay. This object, I think it's a person, is a character in Toy Story. He has a wife and his parts are immovable.
Gerardo, I'm gonna need you to be as descriptive as possible. We're not doing this again. Tell me exactly what you see.
This is a character in Toy
Wait.
Story. Oh,
Do you not know the character?
I do.
So what character is it?
Give me a second. Roddy's a character in Toy Story. He has a wife, and her name is Mrs. Potato Head. So this is Mr. Potato Head. But this Mr. Potato Head has yellow arms with they're made out of I forget what these are called, so give me a second while I think about that. And this Mr. Potato Head has some giant eyes with eyelashes, and they're like, and one's falling off. I think it got unstuck from the glue. So currently only has one eye. One eye, potato with yellow arms, but they're made out of shoot, what are these things called? I forgot what
Show
they're
me, I'll tell you what they're called.
called.
Describe them and then I'll maybe tell you what they
Okay, I'm
are.
going to describe this thing one last time. But let me think about what the name of these things are.
Okay, yeah, describe it. Let's take it from the top. Describe it in
Okay.
detail again.
So this guy, he's a character in Toy Story.
Mm-hmm.
His name's Mr. Potato Head. But this Mr. Potato Head is a little pink, and he has googly eyes with eyelashes. And now, well, one eye is not on his body, separate, and his arms are yellow, and they're made out of freaking.
I feel like the first description you gave me is different than what you're telling me now.
Go off of this one.
Signal to me if he's telling the truth or if he's lying.
Brittany, I would like your assistance. I'm calling in a friend. What are these called? I actually want to know.
Pipe cleaners.
Pipe cleaners. Okay?
So
So
what-
this Mr. Potato Head, this is Mr. Potato Head, but this Mr. Potato Head is pinker than the real Mr. Potato Head. He has giant or bigger eyes, they're googly eyes, and he has eyelashes on him. And he only has arms, and they're made out of yellow pipe cleaners. And that's all there is to this Mr. Potato Head. So who knows, maybe it's the real Mr. Potato Head and I'm just making it up.
I know.
Maybe his pipe cleaners are a different color. Maybe
I feel like part of that's true and part of it's a lie.
I don't know.
You kept going back and forth on the details of the eyelash. Okay, so I guess, I don't know. Oh, that's hard.
So just one last time. This is Mr. Potato Head. But this Mr. Potato Head is pinker than the real one. He has one eye detached from his body. His eyes are a little bit bigger than the real one, and he has eyelashes. And
But remember, one of the eyelashes is falling off because it
oh
goes
no,
down
sorry,
the-
sorry. Forget about that. One of his eyes fell off.
So what about the glue? Is there glue on there or
So
don't there?
there's a little bit of glue where the
What
eye
kind of glue?
used to be attached, like hot glue, I'm assuming. And you know, the eye just fell off, and there's still a little bit of glue residue on there. And he's got arms made out of pipe cleaners, and they are yellow.
Okay, I feel like part of, I think part of that's true, but I think part of that's not true. Unless you want me to think that part of that's not true. Oh my gosh, you're really good at this game.
Is he lying?
Remember, I win if you get it wrong.
No, you don't. We tied, right?
Oh, because we're tied right now.
But I got you the first time, and you didn't get me.
Oh, we're gonna round. Okay, okay.
Yeah, there better be a lightning round. Okay, you know what? I think you're telling the truth, but I think you're lying. And so I'm gonna say part true, part lie. I'm gonna go with it's a lie.
Gerardo, is it a lie?
No!
Ah, he was telling the
No,
truth!
Hold it up.
I can't. He's got a detached eye.
He's got it attached.
Did you detach the eye?
Well, it was like off when I pulled him out. See, he's
Oh my gosh, that is not Mr. Potato Head.
So you reminded
Russet
me, yeah.
potato.
So I win.
Gerardo's the winner!
Dang
On Bag of Lies.
Hi Roy Teen Club, I am Bonnie again, and today I wanted to share with you a simple recipe that you could try to make for dinner for your family while we're stuck at home. It's called Lazy Lasagna. So it's just like lasagna, but it's a simpler way so you don't have to layer it all together, and it's a lot quicker and faster. So to get started, I have some water boiling already for my noodles. And just side note, I'll post the recipe up on the website on social media so that you'll be able to see it and make it yourself. So it's just a box of noodles. I have the curly ones. You can basically use whatever you want. So I'm gonna open this and just dump it in my boiling water in this pan. And try not to pull my mic off. So I just dumped the whole box in there, and I added a little bit of salt when I started to boil the water, so you can do that if you want. There's also instructions on the boxes for the pasta, so you can know how to do it. It's not that hard though. So you put it in there and you let the pasta cook for about 10 minutes. So I'm gonna set a timer real fast for 10 minutes. That way it just softens up so you can eat it. And then, since we got that going, we're gonna brown, it says half of a pound of ground beef. My meat will probably be a little bit darker because this is deer, not cow. So it looks a little darker. I'll bring my pan a little closer so you can see. And I've let this thaw out a little bit from my freezer, so I put it in the fridge overnight, and then I've had it on the counter to help thaw it out so it's not completely ice. So, and your packaging might look a little bit different if you buy it from the grocery store, because this is from a deer that my husband actually hunted, so it's wrapped a little bit differently. So it's just in here, and I'm gonna put it on the stove real fast. Trying to learn this new stove, it's different. So I'm just gonna break it up. Oh, it's still a little frozen. Might help if my pan is actually over the heat. All right. Borrow this. Huh? No, this will be okay. So I'm just tearing it apart so it's into smaller pieces. It's still a little more frozen than, so I can break it apart easily. So I'm just using the fork to help separate it. This way it'll cook good. You can hear it sizzling. All right. So once you break it into smaller pieces, once it heats up, it'll be easier to break it into even smaller. So you just want to get into semi-smaller pieces to help cook. And it's getting really warm back here, so I'm gonna turn it down a little bit. And same with this one. All right. Want to shut off? Thank you. All right, so I'm just gonna stir it around, break it up into smaller pieces. To cook it up, so it's shredded before and we want it to be brown. So that's how you'll know it's starting to cook. I'll show it to you once I'm done. It'll take a few minutes, probably about 10, to make sure it gets all the way cooked through, because you don't want raw meat, because you can get sick from that. So make sure it's cooked good. Alright, we're getting there a little bit closer. It's about half brown, half red now. Just keep moving it around, helping it cook all the way through. You can mess with the temperature. It doesn't really... If you want to go faster, the higher the temperature, the faster you'll get done. So... Gonna let it just cook for a little bit. While we're doing that, you washed it, right? Just gonna stir my noodles so they don't all stick to the bottom of the pan. We're getting closer. If you wanted to add extra seasonings to them, you can. If you want to be adventurous. I don't. My husband would. He would add just like some more salt or something. Sometimes he throws in like onion powder or garlic powder. Honestly, I'm not sure what he throws in there. If you feel a little adventurous, you can try some of that. But I'm not, so I stick to the basics basically. The simpler the better for me. So all right, we're getting close. A few more minutes. And I'm spilling some out of the side of the pan. Throwing it all over. I'll just have to pick it up later. Save that one. My goodness gracious. Okay. We have just a few more little red spots, so I'm just cooking them a little bit more. Then we are about done with cooking the meat. Oh, that's my timer for the noodles. So I'm gonna just turn the oven off, or the stove, I mean. And then I'm gonna use this little strainer bowl, and I'm gonna have, we'll just put it in the pan. And Denise is gonna drain them for me, so she's just gonna pour the noodles and the water into that bowl, and it'll strain the water out. And so we just have the noodles left. And they should be nice and soft for us to eat. And if you want. Sometimes. So she's just gonna rinse them a little bit and put a little bit of water on top. Sometimes I do it, sometimes I don't, so it's up to you. All right, this looks like the meat's pretty good as well. So We got done about the same time. Gonna pull it off. Yeah. So all right. So Denise is gonna just pour the noodles into the pan. It's okay. And then I'm gonna do the same with the meat, as I'm gonna just pour it all on top. All right. So you can tell with the meat, it's just little pieces, and it's brown now, so it's not the red. I guess mine was like a dark purple. Okay. So we got the noodles and the meat in there. So now it's the easy stuff. So we need about a cup of Parmesan cheese. I measured this out before, so I didn't have to do it on here. So a Parmesan cheese, like you put on top of spaghetti. So a cup of that. Ugh, excuse me. And then a cup of either mozzarella or cheddar cheese. I have cheddar cheese at home, so that's what I use. A cup or more. I think the cheesier the better, so. And then we need a pint of cottage cheese. So pull that all the way off. This is where the fun begins, making dinner. Just pour it all in there. Dump it all in. Okay, now I'm gonna just stir it all around because then it'll be easier when we add the spaghetti sauce. So I'm gonna try to mix it a little bit now so I don't make a huge mess later, hopefully. Try to keep it all in my pan better than I did the meat when I was browning it. So if you have a deep pan, that works great. I just use my 9x13 glass pan. So, all right, good enough. And then we're gonna add, it just says a large jar, so I'm gonna start with this can, then I have another can if we need more, which I kinda don't think we will. Okay, so you just pour it all on top. It's just spaghetti sauce. Pasta sauce is what it can also be called. I'm gonna start with that much, just to work it in. Keep adding. All right. So you might think that this might look kind of gross or not like lasagna, but it'll taste like it, I promise. It'll look better once I add. I'm gonna add some more sauce in there. All right. Okay. My glasses are sliding down my face. That's how warm it is back here. Alright, we're getting close. I like mine to look pretty red, so that's what I'm just going off of. Alright, I think that looks pretty good. And it's okay I didn't finish this other can, I'll just make spaghetti for dinner one night and use the rest of it or something. Alright, I'm going to just smooth it out, and then you'll put it in the oven at 350 degrees, and you'll put it in there for about 20 to 30 minutes, just to warm it all the way through. I'm not going to do that right now because I'll wait till before I have to take my husband dinner tonight. So there you go. There's some lazy lasagna. It tastes just like lasagna, but you don't have to layer it out, and it's pretty simple. There you go. Oh, you want to see what it looks like? Makes a pretty big pan, so my husband and I will have leftovers for a while, which is quite nice for us. And if you have a big family, it will feed all of you. So have a good day.
So yes, you will need paper, pencil, optional tools. You could use scissors, but we're not going to use them for cutting unless you want to. And if you want markers, we'll get to all of that. I want to do it a little different this time, so you get to learn something new, even though we're reviewing some things. Okay, so like I said, we're not necessarily cutting the paper out, but what you can do with these can actually be a really great measuring tool. So when you're drawing the eyes, the biggest problem I see when people are drawing eyes is they have something like, here's an eye, here's an eye, you know, on the face. That's actually not too bad. Or like, here's an eye, here's an eye. Can you tell just by looking at that where I went wrong on those two? I'll show you. So the eyes have a spacing in them that's actually the equivalent to one eye. So that means if you were able to measure your eye, and we're talking about from about the tear duct to the lash line. If you were to measure that, there would be a space roughly equal in the center. And I say roughly because there are exceptions out there. Not everyone's eyes are going to be perfectly matching with one in the center, but that is a wonderful thing to go off of. And if you're drawing eyes and they ever look really weird, or a face, and you're asking yourself what's going on with this, I would check that and just maybe do a little measuring, and you can use scissors to accomplish that. So what you can do is you can move your scissors and just make sure they don't, you know, of course these scissors can move around, so you have to watch that. And in fact, I'm not going to even have I'm going to be running out of room there. So I'm going to adjust that, draw another line. I don't want it over too far too. I want to make sure I have room. I like to do stuff with eyelashes. It's just my thing. Erase a little bit in there. That should give me plenty of room. Don't worry about perfectly centering them or anything. So again, I'm going to try to measure that. Without moving too much, I'm going to hop. I'm going to put a little line. I'm going to maybe double check my measurements. Yep, it looks pretty good. And then look at that. You can actually do that. Put a little dot or a little tick mark. I like to call them tick marks. It's kind of like if you look at the face of a clock and you have those little second lines, that could be a tick mark. Now you can also, when you're drawing the two eyes, you can either use a ruler or even another piece of paper. just make sure that the paper is not crooked, because that's not going to help you, or the ruler. So if you match it up pretty well to the sides, you can say, here's where my top is. Totally fine to do this. There's tools out there for artists for a reason, right? All right. So you may recall once, and this is just my style of drawing eyes. Your style's different. That's fine. You don't have to change your style. I just like to draw the upper lash line first because I think that is easier. Then I'm going to put in the iris. Now you can do something very similar. You could always take something that's round. Obviously that's going to be way too small for the iris, but you could take a round shape. Maybe like, oh, my markers are falling on the floor. Maybe like the lid of something. Just make sure it is clean, which mine is not right now. Pick up my markers. All right. But again, as long as they're roughly close, who knows, maybe even the sides of the scissors or something. And they don't have to be like perfect circles. But again, I recommend having them partly closed. I almost feel like it's almost looking, if you're feeling like, oh no, what if it's starting to look cross-eyed? Well, in that case, just choose maybe a direction. Maybe these eyes are going to look slightly off to the right, to our right, that is. That looks a little bit better. And then maybe I do use, for my pupil shapes, yeah. No, I want to do actually more with the iris this time. So I don't want my pupils to be huge. I'm going to make them, and that's not the best tracing. You know what, that's still too big. Okay, well, this is what I can do. If you're ever in doubt about like spacing of things, then what I recommend first is make your distance, make your shape like somewhat simplified. Like, okay, I know I'm working with this amount of the iris now. I'm not working with this amount. Then I'm going to come in there and I'm even going to go smaller with my pupil shape. And then I can just erase. That might be almost too small right there. But anyway, as long as you have the general idea. Maybe I will go just a bit bigger. Okay, now I'm going to just put in a few more places. My anatomy, put in the tear duct, and I'm going to bring the lash line, the lower lash line, over here. Sometimes for the nose, what I'll do in this case is maybe just draw like the top of the bridge of the nose. I'm not going to worry about it down here. Don't worry, when people look at art, they're not like, oh my gosh, the nose, where is it? It's more just like art can fade because people's minds fill in what's not there. It's one of the great things about art. You don't have to draw everything and it doesn't feel like, oh no, what happened? So, yeah. It's not like, what happened to this person? No, she's fine. Or he. You can choose. This is going to be a more, it's going to be almost like, I want to call it like electric picture as far as what I'm going to do as far as the colors. Sometimes I like things to be surreal. This is going to be more surreal today. So I'm going to come in and I am going to just create a shape for my eyebrows. The eyebrows do not have to be perfectly symmetrical. Most people's faces are actually a little bit asymmetrical. Majority. Okay. Now I could put in a second line if I want to, above the lash line. It is not necessary. I think I will just because I feel like I want another line in there. And then I'm going to put in, before I do my eyelashes, I'm actually just going to draw a line because I want to do now color. So I've explained how you can use the scissors to create your measurements. You can even check after this point. Whoa, I really sprayed in those scissors. So I could see how, oh, I need to, it also can be a good reminder because see how like I've got my tear duct and I've got Oh, and see, look at that. It's roughly, it doesn't have to be perfect, but you see how it's not like, whoa, or really stretched out. As long as you have roughly the space of another eye. You might even compare on your own face and take your, don't put scissors up to your eyes, but you know, take your fingers and compare it. You guys know not to put scissors up your eyes, but you get it. Okay, so yeah, I think I'm gonna bring that down just a bit more. So again, good reminder. And now, I'm gonna do something a little different. I want to use some colors and show you how cool the irises can look. I'm going to do 2 different colors just because I want to show you more ideas. One is going to be more, we'll start with the more realistic one. Although we are going to put some yellow in there. And remember how we were talking about it's almost like rays of the sun, the shape of the iris? Well, that's what we're going to do. And then I'm going to do some green. Have some green in there. I don't want to totally cover up my yellow. The yellow is more of almost like an accent. And it's okay to blend it, of course. Notice how I'm doing this color before I do the black? It's because sometimes the black can bleed. And I want these colors to be really pure. So I want, you know, because I want that like pop of color. So whenever you're using colors like black, gray, or sometimes just darker colors in general, especially if you're starting with a yellow, I often wait and come back and add those in later, especially because you might be like, you know what, let's go with more yellow. Let's do it. Let's brighten that up. I don't know if you guys had a chance to see my TikTok dance the other day. That was for you. You're welcome. All right, maybe a little bit of a dark blue. And see how at this point I can go circular. And of course I'm going to fill in more of that, but I can first just kind of, and I could even bring some of that dark blue up here and then start pulling in those colors. This blue is a little dry. But in that case, what you would do is just maybe, instead of doing one mark that you probably get away with a fresh marker, you might have to just layer, just draw several tones there. Oh, this is a bright, bright eye. It's still, and like I said, this is surreal. I've never seen anyone with eyes quite like this, but we're artists, we can do what we want. All right, I'm gonna darken up a little bit more right there. Okay, now, with the iris, I wanted to tell you something. So, you know, maybe you're starting out and your black is looking good and everything, but maybe you grab your black and you're like, oh no, my black. My black is now a bluish gray, greenish gray. Yeah. Blah. Yeah, it's not black. So I'm going to show you a trick because maybe you don't have another black and you're like, oh no, what do I do now? Well, I'm going to show you something really cool. These are my favorite complementary colors to mix. Complementary just means the colors are opposite. Notice when the red and the green are next to each other, they're super bright. That's because if you think back to first grade, which hopefully then you learned, or somewhere around then you learned green is made from yellow and blue. What are your primary colors? Red, yellow, and blue. There's no red in green. That's what makes them opposites or complementary. So if you put them next to each other, again, they're going to appear really bright. But if you mix them, watch what happens. Now I recommend starting with the red because the red is more sensitive as far as the marker tip to picking up the green and not being as bright and beautiful anymore. So I would start with the red. That looks kind of cool, just like that. But I'm going to show you. Then you take your green. Look at that. You wouldn't even know. See that? Now you have black. You can also do that with yellow and purple if you don't have red and green. Or can you think of the other two colors we haven't used yet? Blue and orange, although obviously the pencil's not orange, but just the color so you can get that in your head. I don't have an orange marker over here. Okay, so then I'm going to add my eyelashes. And you know what? Again, let's go back to that complementary color idea, just because I think it's so cool. Sometimes if you run out of colors, hey, no big deal. That's part of the secret of being an artist. You know how to make the colors, right? And just a reminder, if you remember from last week, your eyelashes always go away from the tear duct. They're bringing the tears over here or whatever might be in your eye or whatnot. It's helping it to go off of the face. Then I'm going to come back in with my green. Now maybe for the eyelashes, it might be fun to not have it as mixed as the iris and like leave a few extra color pieces popping out, like a few extra red, a few extra green pieces, almost like someone is wearing some really funky mascara or false eyelashes. Isn't that cool looking? Sometimes I just want to do something just to see the way it looks. This was my lesson for the youth. See what I'm talking about? Yeah, that's crazy. I was just trying to give them options. You can draw a cat or a dog. Okay, now we got this eye. So this one I want to do something more creative. By the way, let's see. If you wanted to do, just for fun, I'm gonna do a green eyebrow. Why not? Okay, now for this eye, and again, I want to start in the iris. Just wanted to show you how this would look. I'm going to start with yellow again, just because yellow is one of those colors that's really great for brightening other colors, even if you don't necessarily want them to be yellow. And then I'm going to go to pink. And notice I'm doing the same type of pattern here. I'm doing the same stroke, which is a radial, like think about rays, like sun rays. They're coming in almost like a circle, right? They're radiating outward. So I'm doing that, the same thing, and that's what makes it look so cool. If I just colored in like this, the shape isn't the same anymore. It's not like, oh, it's bad or anything. It's just, this is the effect I'm going for. And this is how I do it. I'm going to go for some more pink, a darker pink. I want to make sure like I have some lighter tones in there. I don't want to completely get rid of those light tones because I want some contrast. Contrast again is just light next to dark. Or it could be like long next to short. It could be black next to, or sorry, green next to red. I know my colors. All right. And then I'm going to do, you know what? I'm going to do purple. Oh, I like that. Now it's getting really dark at the end. This is, again, just a way of making the contrast too. Just because I love working with contrast, I'm going to just, I might be losing my shape just a little bit. So just be mindful of that. But again, not super big deal because the iris does not have to be like perfect. Just keep practicing, you get the idea. I could even leave a few little white strokes in there just for fun. And maybe this time, again, because it's all about the contrast, maybe I just do a purple iris. Oh, and you know what? I totally forgot the highlight. Oh, that's okay. What you could do in that case is take a little white paint and add it on there. Say you don't have any white paint. Well, this will be more of a subtle highlight, but maybe you have oh, there we go. You could see that a little bit. Maybe you have like just a little subtle white colored pencil or something. We're artists, we can get creative. You can always blend multiple mediums. Now by medium, if you don't know what that means, it's just what you use to draw. So they call it mixed media when you add multiple ones. I think it could actually look really cool to add colored pencil and marker. You could do stuff like, you could take this blue colored pencil. See how you can do some shading. See, I've got that like in the corner of the eye. Maybe I do it over here too. Maybe the tear ducts are even blue. Why not, right? Sometimes if you want to practice your eyes, it can be fun to just make them crazy. I actually saw a girl on a YouTube video and she tattooed her eyes blue. Oh, it was, I could never do it. I would be so scared. I would not want to risk going blind. Okay, so I'm going to do purple over here. But again, the fun thing about being an artist is you can do whatever you want. You can experiment, and maybe you do something and you're like, I don't like that. But you know, I've done pictures where I've done like whole different images of eyes and just done that and done different colors and just had all these eyes floating around the paper. And that's great. Okay, again, just for contrast, I'm gonna start with some yellow and I'm gonna make like some real, it feels very appropriate to do like crazy long eyelashes when you're doing weird colors like this. Because of course it's unnatural, right? Just want to give you another look. Now I don't want to keep them, that actually does look kind of cool. But I actually want it to be darker, but progressively darker because I still want to have a few little sparkles of that yellow showing. So I'm going to put in more of that pinkish color. It looks so cool. Oh, I'm really liking that. I'm actually liking that more than I thought I would. Thanks, you guys, for having me do this, because I'm learning new things. I hope you are too. And then maybe I still go in with my purple, or maybe I go back to my complementary colors. And I do my red. And the complement will work with that dark pinkish color too. It doesn't have to be a perfect complement. You just, if your colors, like say if you have a really, like a turquoise blue and an orange as your complement, it might be more of a gray or even a brown rather than a true black. So just heads up, if that doesn't happen that way, that's totally normal. There's nothing wrong with you. You're fine. All right. See how that's just, again, creating that contrast. Maybe I even take some of the green and I just like make parts of the pupil darker. Now, why would you put parts of your pupil darker, right? Because the whole thing is a hole that lets light pass through the iris, right? But there's reflections on the eye. So when you don't necessarily have to make everything like totally black, because it can have the effect of different reflections on there. And it's okay to show some of that green. It's like you look at it and there's so many colors, you kind of have to keep looking, right? And that's the idea. Just wanted to make a lot of interest. And then you could always go in, you could take, again, maybe I'll take a pink color and I'll just accentuate the details that I didn't, whoops. Now in this case, I might just like kind of dot it because I didn't need to say whoops. I just forgot I've got my yellow there. No big deal. I might just outline that just a bit. And you could do this with whatever colors you want. I might just dot that because see how that gives the appearance that the yellow parts of the eyelashes are still in front, even though that's not perfect. It doesn't matter. Remember, progress, not perfection. That should be my motto. I should say that at the end of every video because We don't hear that enough. And when I was your age, I used to just like stress over everything. And if we had the coronavirus when I was a teenager, I don't even know. I don't even know how to handle it. So kudos to you guys. Thanks for being awesome. Yeah, and you could always put like a few little shadows in there, maybe a few little shadows out here. Just keep in mind, again, you want to remember that your shading is behind the eyelashes, not in front. And that's another reason why I wanted to do the eyelashes first before I did anything else. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed that. I hope you have an opportunity to practice with shading with the eyes at home. I want you to, if you want to, I want you to try some crazy colors. Maybe do some things that just you'd never think about doing and just see what happens. All right, you guys, progress, not perfection. I will see you next time. Bye. I did it! It's actually quite fun because I get to like get into other little details that I don't always get, I don't always think about because I'm too busy like monitoring the kids.
Yeah.